What is up guys, Rickackis here, and today we're reviewing the Reflection Sum, the Trials of Osiris Pulse Rifle for the Taken King DLC in Destiny. Now the Reflection Sum can come in two different variants, the normal variant and the Adept variant. These two weapons will behave pretty much identically. The only difference is that the Adept variant comes in a higher light from 310 to 320, whereas the normal variant is only 300 to 310, and the Adept variant also gets an extra perk passively unlocked, which is the Last Resort perk. The Last Resort perk increases your weapon handling and reload speed when you're the last member alive in your fire team. Useful for Trials of Osiris, but pretty much completely non-existent for most other Crucible game types. Now let's start off the review by going over the stats of the Reflection Sum. This is a very middle of the road pulse rifle in terms of its rate of fire and impact. Other pulse rifles that do the exact same rate of fire and impact are the Nerwin's Mercy Iron Banner pulse rifle, the No Time to Explain exotic pulse rifle depending on which ballistics you choose, and stuff like the Villainy and the Smite of Moraine pretty much does the same damage. So again, a lot of other pulse rifles are in this damage category. However, its other stats are quite favorable. Stability spawns in quite high, reload is excellent, and range, although it isn't great, range doesn't impact these pulse rifles as much as you'd think. The reason being is because these pulse rifles are in the damage category where they're capable of a 2-burst kill if every shot is a headshot and the enemy on the Crucible has an extremely low armor build. So most times on 99% of the enemies, you're going to need 3 bursts to kill, but the first 2 bursts are almost gonna kill the enemy. So if you're doing a few less damage in terms of you're out of the optimal range, you're really not changing your time to kill because you're still gonna need 3 bursts. Again, just shooting that 3rd burst is usually just to finish off the enemy, so if you're doing less damage again because of range, it really won't impact the gun very much. Now let's move on to the perks of the Reflection Sum. The first perk it comes with is Army of One. This is going to increase your grenade and melee cooldowns when you get an unassisted kill. Definitely not considered one of the best perks, but certainly not useless either. Now, unfortunately, if you want to increase the stability, which often you do because landing headshots are so important in a pulse rifle, the only way to do that is to put on the Injection Mold perk, which actually also decreases an already not too amazing range. Now for the last perk slot, I have Hidden Hand, which increases the aim assist, but you may have something different. Just like the raid weapons, the Trials weapons have a semi-randomized last perk slot. So how does this gun perform firstly in PvE? Well, I was actually impressed by how good this gun was in PvE, and I think that's because I keep forgetting that in the Destiny Update 2.0, pulse rifles actually got like a 20-25% buff against PvE enemies. So this thing is doing a lot of damage. Pulse rifles are actually in a great place in PvE right now. This gun is very accurate, easy to use, and decently powerful. If you're already using and enjoying the raid pulse rifle in PvE, you might actually want to replace it with the Reflection Sum. Now the Reflection Sum doesn't have Cocoon, which is admittedly a huge downside when fighting bosses, but the recoil pattern of the Reflection Sum is a lot better than the raid pulse rifle, so you have a much easier time landing your precision shots. The fact that both the normal and the Adept version of the Reflection Sum spawn with a very high light will mean that it slots very easily into your PvE build and won't lower your light level pretty much at all. And as such, the Reflection Sum is going to be a great PvE option for many players. Now what about the Reflection Sum's performance in PvP? Now first off, the Reflection Sum is going to do 32 damage for a headshot and 22 damage for a body shot. Again, it's a 2-burst kill on the absolute lowest armor enemies, but other than that, it's a 3-burst kill. Now in PvP, it's a lot more competitive and light doesn't matter as much, so you've really got to take another look at this gun's competition. But first I want to get this out of the way. The Reflection Sum is a great PvP pulse rifle. There's just no other way around it. It's extremely accurate, extremely easy to use, and spawning with a very high light is very useful when doing something like Iron Banner or Trials of Osiris, which does take light levels into account. With that being said, the problem lies within its competition. You guys saw when I compared it to my Nerwin's Mercy, the Mercy actually has a little bit better range and a little bit better stability. and a bigger magazine. The only thing the Nerwin's Mercy has less is actually has a tiny bit less reload. So just statistically, the reflection sum is already just kind of worse than the Nerwin's Mercy. Now with that being said, the Nerwin's Mercy just statistically barely wins, and I can totally understand if people prefer just the feel and the recoil of the reflection sum, but the problem with the reflection sum is that Bungie for some reason put it in the biggest pulse rifle category. Most pulse rifles fall into this damage category, so it has so much stiff competition. I'm really disappointed Bungie didn't put this weapon into the highest or lowest damage categories for pulse rifles, both of which only have one pulse rifle in those categories currently. That way at least we would have some diversification. So the problem with the reflection sum in PvP is that although it is a very competitive weapon, if this is kind of your first good PvP pulse rifle, I can totally see you using and doing well with this weapon. I certainly did. However, if you already have a good roll on your Nerwin's Mercy, on your Villainy, on your Suros PDX 45, there's really no reason you're going to replace it with the reflection sum. In fact, if you've rolled your weapon with full auto or Headseeker, you probably just have a better version of the reflection sum. And it's as simple as that. Now that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please remember to rate and share this video. It really helps me out. And if you enjoyed this content and want to see more Destiny content, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. And if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way to do that is to follow me on Twitter. That's going to be linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can follow as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.